Electric Light Orchestra were a British rock group from Birmingham, England, who released 11 studio albums between 1971 and 1986 and another album in 2001. ELO was formed to accommodate Roy Wood and Jeff Lynne's desire to create modern rock and pop songs with classical overtones. After Wood's departure following the band's debut record, Lynne wrote and arranged all of the group's original compositions and produced every album. Despite early singles' success in the United Kingdom, the band was initially more successful in the United States, billed as the English Guys with the Big Fiddles. They gained a cult following despite lukewarm reviews back in their native United Kingdom. By the mid-1970s, they had become one of the biggest selling acts in music. From 1972 to 1986, ELO accumulated 27 top 40 hit singles in both the UK and the US, with 20 top 20 UK singles and 15 top 20 US singles. The band also holds the record for having the most Billboard Hot 100 top 40 hits, 20, of any group in US chart history without ever having a number one single. ELO collected 19 CRIA, 21 RIAA and 38 BPI awards, and sold over 50 million records worldwide during the group's original 13-year period of active recording and touring. History, 1970–1973, birth of the band and early albums. In the late 1960s, Roy Wood, a Euro guitarist, vocalist and songwriter of the Move Euro, had an idea to form a new band that would use violins, cellos, string basses, horns and woodwinds to give their music a classical sound, taking rock music in the direction that the Beatles had left off. Jeff Lynne, frontman of fellow Birmingham group The Idle Race, was excited by the concept. In January 1970, when Carl Wayne left the Move, Lynne accepted Wood's second invitation to join the band on the condition that they focused their energy on the new project. On July 12, 1970, when Wood added multiple cellos to a Lynne penned song intended to be a Move B-side, the new concept became a reality and 10,538 Overture became the first Electric Light Orchestra song. To help finance the fledgling band, 2 more Move albums were released during the lengthy ELO recordings. The resulting debut album The Electric Light Orchestra was released in 1971. 10,538 Overture became a UK top 10 hit. Lynne, Wood and Bev Bevan were the founding members of Electric Light Orchestra. They were joined by Bill Hunt and Steve Woolham on the debut album. ELO's debut concert took place on April 16, 1972 at the Greyhound pub in Croydon, UK, with a lineup of Wood, Lynne, Bevan, Hunt, Wilfred Gibson, Hugh McDowell, Mike Edwards, Andy Craig and Richard Tandy. However, tensions soon surfaced between Wood and Lynne due to problems with management. During the recordings for the band's second LP, Wood left the band taking cellist McDowell and horn keyboard player Hunt with him to form Wizard. Despite predictions from the music press that the band would fold without Wood, who had been the driving force behind the creation of ELO, Lynne stepped up to lead the band, with Bev Bevan remaining on drums, joined by Gibson on violin, Richard Tandy now playing the Moog synthesizer, piano and other keyboards in place of Hunt, Mike D. Albuquerque on bass and vocals, and Mike Edwards and Colin Walker on cellos. The new lineup performed at the 1972 Reading Festival. Barkus Berry instrument pickups, now sported by the band's string trio, allowed them to have proper amplification on stage for their instruments, which had previously been all but drowned out by all the sound of the other electrified instruments. The band released their second album, ELO 2 in 1973, which produced their first US chart single, a hugely elaborate version of the Chuck Berry classic Roll Over Beethoven. ELO also made their first appearance on American Bandstand Show. During the recording of the third album, Gibson was let go after a dispute over money. Mick Kaminsky joined as violinist, and Walker left since touring was keeping him away from his family too much, while remaining cellist Edwards finished the cello parts. The resulting album, On the Third Day, was released in late 1973, with the American version featuring the popular single Showdown. Hugh McDowell, who had left the band the previous year, returned for the subsequent American tour in support of the album. 1974 – 1982, global success in concept albums. for the band's fourth album, El Dorado, a symphony, a concept album about a daydreamer. Lynne stopped overdubbing strings and hired an orchestra and choir instead. Louis Clark joined the band as string arranger. The first single of the album, Can't Get It Out of My Head, became their first U.S. Billboard charts top 10 hit, and El Dorado, a symphony became ELO's first gold album. After the release of El Dorado, bassist and vocalist Kelly Grucart and cellist Melvin Gale joined, replacing D'Albuquerque and Edwards respectively. The lineup stabilized as the band took to a decidedly more accessible sound. ELO had become successful in the United States at this point, and the group was a star attraction on the stadium and arena circuit, as well as regularly appearing on the Midnight Special more than any other band in that show's history with 4 appearances. Face the Music was released in 1975, producing the hit singles Evil Woman and Strange Magic. The opening instrumental Fire on High, with its mix of strings and blazing acoustic guitars, saw heavy exposure as background music on CBS Sports' spectacular montages. The group toured extensively from February 3 till April 13, 1976, promoting the album in the U.S., playing 68 shows in 76 days. It was on the American tour that ELO debuted their use of colored lasers. Despite the recognition and success they enjoyed in the States, they were still largely ignored in the United Kingdom until their 6th album, the platinum-selling A New World record, hit the top 10 there in 1976. It contained the hit singles Livin' Thing, Telephone Line, Rock-a-Raya, and Do Ya, a re-recording of the Move song. The band toured in support in the US only from October 1976 to April 1977, with a break in December, then an American Music Award show appearance on January 31, 1977, plus a one-off gig in San Diego in August 1977. Casey Kasem said that the Electric Light Orchestra is the world's first touring rock and roll chamber group before he played Livin' Thing at number 28. A New World record was followed by a multi-platinum selling album, the double LP Out of the Blue, in 1977. Out of the Blue featured the singles Turn to Stone, Sweet Talkin' Woman, Mr. Blue Sky, and Wild West Hero, each becoming a hit in the United Kingdom. The band then set out on a 9-month, 92-date world tour, with an enormous set and a hugely expensive spaceship stage with fog machines and a laser display. In the United States, the concerts were billed as the Big Night and were their largest to date, with 80,000 people seeing them at Cleveland Stadium. The Big Night went on to become the highest-grossing live concert tour in music history up to that point. The band also played at the Wembley Arena for 8 straight sold-out nights during the tour as well, another record at that time. The first of these shows was recorded and televised, and later released as a CD and DVD. In 1979, the multi-platinum album Discovery was released. Although the biggest hit on the album was the rock song Don't Bring Me Down, the album was noted for its heavy disco influence. Discovery also produced the hits Shine a Little Love, Last Train to London, Confusion, and The Diary of Horace Wimp. Another song, Midnight Blue, was released as a single in Southeast Asia, and was a hit particularly in the Philippines. The band recorded videos for all the songs on the album. The Electric Light Orchestra finished 1979 as the biggest-selling act in the United Kingdom. ELO had reached a peak of their stardom, selling millions of albums and singles, and even inspiring a parody tribute song on the Randy Newman album Born Again, titled The Story of a Rock and Roll Band. During 1979, Jeff Lynne also turned down an invitation for ELO to headline the August 1979 Nebworth Festival concerts. That allowed Led Zeppelin the chance to headline instead. In 1980, Jeff Lynne was asked to write for the soundtrack of the musical film Xonad, with the other half written by John Farrar and performed by the film's star Olivia Newton-John. The movie performed poorly at the box office, but the soundtrack did exceptionally well, eventually going double platinum. The album spawned hit singles from both Newton-John and ELO. The title track, performed by both Newton-John and ELO, is ELO's only song to top the singles chart in the United Kingdom. More than a quarter of a century later, Xonad, a Broadway musical, based on the film, opened on July 10, 2007 at the Helen Hayes Theatre to uniformly good reviews. It received 4 Tony Award nominations. The Electric Light Orchestra story, Bev Bevan's memoirs from his early days and throughout his career with the Move and ELO, was published in 1980. In 1981, ELO's sound changed again with the science fiction concept album Time, a throwback to earlier, more progressive rock albums like El Dorado. With the string section laid off, synthesizers took a dominating role, as was the trend in the larger music scene of the time, although studio strings were present on some of the tracks conducted by Rainer Page. The overall soundscape had a more electronic feel in keeping with the futuristic nature of the album. Time topped the UK charts for 2 weeks and was the last ELO studio album to be certified platinum in the United Kingdom. Singles from the album included Hold On Tight, Twilight, The Way Life's Meant to Be, Here Is the News, and Ticket to the Moon. The band embarked on their last world tour to promote the LP. It was the first ELO tour without cellists, although Mick Kaminsky returned to play his blue violin. The live lineup was completed with Louis Clark and Dave Morgan playing the string parts on synthesizers, and Fred the Robot voicing the prologue and epilogue. 1983 Euro 1986, 1989, Secret Messages, Disbanding and ELO Part 2, Jeff Lynne wanted to follow Time with a double album. CBS blocked his plan claiming a double vinyl album would be too expensive. The new album was edited down from double album to a single disc and released as Secret Messages in 1983. The album was a hit in the UK, reaching the top 5. The album's release was followed by the news that there would be no tour to promote the LP, that drummer Bevan was now playing drums for Black Sabbath and that bassist Kelly Grucut had left the band. Rumours of the group disbanding were publicly denied by Bevan. Although Secret Messages debuted at number 4 in the United Kingdom, it fell off the charts, failing to catch fire with a lack of hit singles in the UK and a lukewarm media response. By 1983 Bevan was expressing a desire to join Black Sabbath permanently and Lynne and Tandy were recording tracks for the Electric Dreams soundtrack under Jeff Lynne's name. However, Lynne was contractually obligated to make one more ELO album. Lynne, Bevan and Tandy returned to the studio in 1985 as a three-piece to record Balance of Power, released early in 1986. Though the single Calling America placed in the top 30 in the United Kingdom and top 20 in the States, subsequent singles failed to chart. The album lacked actual strings, replaced once again by synthesizers, played by Tandy. The album also shed the customary ELO logo that had appeared on every album since 1976. Lynne, with the 7-piece lineup that supported Time, played a small number of live ELO performances in 1986, including shows in England and Germany along with US appearances on American Bandstand, Solid Gold, then at Disneyland that summer. The Birmingham Heartbeat Charity Concert 1986 was a charity concert organised by Bevan in ELO's hometown of Birmingham on March 15, 1986. A hint of Lynne's future was seen when George Harrison appeared on stage during the encore at Heartbeat, joining in the all-star jam of Johnny B. Good. ELO's last performance for several years occurred on July 13, 1986 in Stuttgart, Germany, playing as support band to Rod Stewart. ELO effectively disbanded after that final show in Stuttgart in 1986, but there was no announcement made of it for the next 2 years, during which George Harrison's Lynne-produced album Cloud 9 and the pair's follow-up Traveling Wilburys Volume 1 were released. Bevan approached Lynne to make another ELO album in 1988, but Lynne was not interested and went on to announce that ELO was no more. Bevan continued on in 1989 as ELO Part 2, initially with no other former ELO members except Clark. ELO Part 2 released their debut album Electric Light Orchestra Part 2 in 1990. Mick Kaminsky, Kelly Grucut and Hugh McDowell joined the band for the first tour in 1991. McDowell left after the tour. Bevan, Grucut, Kaminsky and Clark recorded a second album, Moment of Truth, in 1994 and toured extensively until 1999. Bevan retired from the lineup in 1999 and sold his share of the ELO name to Jeff Lynne in 2000. The remaining members continued to tour and record, renamed as the Orchestra. 2000, Reformation. Lynne's comeback with ELO began in 2000 with the release of a retrospective box set, Flashback, containing 3 CDs of remastered tracks and a handful of outtakes and unfinished works, most notably a new version of ELO's only UK #1 hit Xonad. In 2001 Zoom, ELO's first album since 1986, was released. Though billed and marketed as an ELO album, the only returning member other than Lynne was Tandy, who performed on one track. Guest musicians included former Beatles Ringo Starr and George Harrison. Upon completion of the album, Lynne reformed the band with completely new members, including his then-girlfriend Rosie Vila, and announced that ELO would tour again. Former ELO member Tandy rejoined the band a short time afterwards for 2 television live performances, VH1 Storytellers and a PBS concert shot at CBS Television City, later titled Zoom Tour Live, that was released on DVD. The planned tour was cancelled and was not rescheduled. Harvest and Epic Legacy released ELO's back catalogue from 2001 €07. Included amongst the remastered album tracks were unreleased songs and outtakes, including 2 new singles. The first was Surrender, which registered on the lower end of the UK singles chart at number 81, some 30 years after it was written in 1976. The other single was another unreleased recording, Latitude 88 North, released as the third bonus track on the 2007 remastered version of their 1977 album Out of the Blue. The song was written in 1977, but existed only as a demo recording of the chorus. Lynne returned to the song and finished it in preparation for the remastered version of Out of the Blue, 2010 €12, non-performing work and miniature reunions. On August 9, 2010, Eagle Rock Entertainment released Live the early years in the UK as a DVD compilation that included Fusion Live in London along with never-before-released live performances at Brunel University and on a German TV show Rock Palast. The US had a slightly edited release on August 24, 2010. The Essential Electric Light Orchestra artwork was rejigged to feature 2 different covers. The US and Australian releases shared one design, while the rest of the world featured the other for a new double album release in October 2011. This was the third ELO compilation to present a chronological run-through of ELO's single songs following US compilations Zola Copyright ELO in 1976 and Strange Magic, The Best of Electric Light Orchestra in 1995. Mr. Blue Sky, The Very Best of Electric Light Orchestra was released on October 8, 2012. It is an album of new recordings of ELO's greatest hits by Lynne, along with a new song Point of No Return to coincide with Lynne's second solo album release Long Wave. These new 2012 albums contained advertisement cards, announcing the re-release of expanded and remastered versions of both the 2001 album Zoom, in addition to his solo album Armchair Theatre, which originally debuted in 1990. Both albums were re-released, in April 2013 with various bonus tracks. Also released was the live album, Electric Light Orchestra Live, showcasing songs from the Zoom tour. In 2012, Lynne and Tandy teamed up at Lynne's Bungalow Palace home studios to record a live set of ELO's songs. This was broadcast on TV as part of the Mr. Blue Sky documentary. Lynne and Tandy reunited again on November 12, 2013 to perform, under the name Jeff Lynne and Friends, Living Thing, and Mr. Blue Sky at the Children in Needs Rocks concert at Hammersmith Eventim Apollo, London. Band name and logo. The group's name is an intended pun based not only on electric light but also using electric rock instruments combined with a light orchestra. The official band logo, designed in 1976 by artist Kosh, was first seen on their 1976 album A New World Record and is based on a 1946 Wurlitzer jukebox model 4008 speaker. The 4008 speaker was itself based upon the upper cabinet of the Wurlitzer Model 1015 jukebox. The band's previous logo, designed by John Key at United Artists Records, took its cues from the General Electric logo. The new logo appeared on most of the band's subsequent album covers in various forms. For instance, on 1977's Out of the Blue, The logo was turned into a huge flying saucer space station, an enduring image now synonymous with the band. On the follow-up album Discovery, the logo became a small glowing artifact on top of a treasure chest. Bevan usually displayed the logo on his drum kit. Personnel, discography. Studio albums, The Electric Light Orchestra, ELO2, On the Third Day, Eldorado, Face the Music, A New World Record, Out of the Blue, Discovery, Xonad, Time, Secret Messages, Balance of Power, Zoom, References. External links, Electric Light Orchestra Home The official Electric Light Orchestra site. Face the Music ELO and related artists information site. Electric Light Orchestra Legacy Recordings site ELO's page at their record label. Jeff Lynne Song Database.